It may be a new season, but some things never change. Both the old firm have exited the Champions League. We're not even halfway through August yet, and both Celtic and Rangers have been knocked out of Europe's biggest competition at the earliest stage possible. For Celtic, it was the second round. For Rangers, it was the third round. Regardless, the old firm have blew it. If they're not shaming Scotland off the pitch, they're doing it on the pitch. But based on the performances of both teams, all their players may as well have been off the pitch, because both teams were shite and both teams lost to opposition that they should be beaten. Now, I'm not saying Malmo and Midtjylland are crap. I'm not saying they're walkovers, but let's be real. Celtic and Rangers, 7-8 times out of 10, I think you'd at least expect them to beat those teams, I think, in my personal opinion. So I think we're going to have to do an in-depth look at this. Old firm? What about fucking shite firm? What about bottle firm? How about owe me £400 firm? Because that's how much money I've lost betting on these two teams. Second leg in the Celtic game, I stuck £250 on them to qualify, thinking they would come back and beat Midtjylland. Didn't happen. The other night there, I stuck 150 on Rangers. Thought I was up. Oh, the Rangers are going to qualify, no bother. 1-0 up, man advantage, and then they went and blew it. So both of these teams owe me £400, £200 each, or, you know, I'll take 400 from both of them. Call it interest, because £400 is a lot of money, guys. Let's think of what you can actually buy for £400. First of all, you could buy £400 worth of Coke. You could buy a stripper's services for about 2 hours. Or you could buy Hamilton Academical Football Club. So, I mean, like I say, £400 is a lot of money. But out of all those options, I mean, I think I would rather go with Hamilton. I'd rather buy Hamilton and get bored to death by watching them rather than pick up an STD of Lana Wolf here. So I'm going to go with buying Hamilton if anybody asks. And maybe I'll buy the two fans that are inside the stadium as well. But like I say, we're here to do an in-depth review because I'm annoyed. Not just the old firm. All joking aside, Scottish teams in general seem to bottle it in Europe. I don't know why. Like, I'll be the first to admit, maybe I overrate the league. Maybe I think the Scottish teams are better than they actually are. But if you look over the years, there's been so many ties where we've crumbled and we've lost that we should not have lost. Now, it's not very often that we go beyond expectations and actually beat a big team, but there has been a shitload of times that we have lost to inferior opposition, and that's what we're going to do here today, guys. Now, we're just going to cover the Champions League, so therefore we'll only be featuring Celtic and Rangers in this video. Maybe I'll do another video where I cover the Europa League and we look at the failures of the teams such as Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, Kilmarnock. I mean, remember they lost to Connacht Nomads. What a fucking shocker that was. But for now, we're going to focus on the Champions League. Alright, we're going to start with Rangers first, since they're back in the Champions League for the first time in 10 years. And actually, speaking of being in the Champions League for the first time in 10 years, funnily enough, it was Malmo who knocked them out last time in the qualifying round. And that, again, I remember that at the time being a big upset. It was not that long ago where Rangers were regularly making the Champions League group stages. They did it in 2009-10, did it in 2010-11, so you know, it kind of sucks to see how much they've fallen down. But let's look at this, right? We're not going to count that Malmo result for 10 years ago. We're going to look at the result for here. The result that matters. The result that happened the other day. So, Rangers knocked out in the third qualifying round by Malmo. Lost both games by 2 legs to 1, or lost both legs by a scoreline of 2 goals to 1. Fucking hell, get it right, man. It's no difficult. Anyway, let's look at Malmo. Let's see how good they really are. So, obviously, Malmo last season, 30 games played in the league. They won their league. That's why they're taking on Rangers in the Champions path. 17 wins, 9 draws, 4 defeats. 64 goals scored, 30 goals against, 34 plus goal difference. I mean, it's not... Yeah, alright, they won the league, but being the best team in Sweden doesn't exactly say much. And let's be honest, they did not win it in anywhere near the dominant fashion that Rangers did. So, I mean, that doesn't really impress me much. The current league is about a quarter of the way through at the moment, and again, they're currently top of that, but they've already dropped a load of points. So they've lost 2 games in 14, a few draws in there as well, and they're only joint top with Djurgården. So, like this Malmo team, they aren't exactly world beaters. They only just took the top spot of the table for the first time last week there. So again, like I say, they are not, they're not this great squad or great team by any means of the imagination. Now, if we look at Malmo, how they've done in European football, let's look at how they got to the third qualifying round, as they did have to enter in the first. So they beat Riga of Latvia from Latvia by a 2-1 aggregate scoreline, beat them 1-0 in Sweden, and then drew with them 1-1 in Latvia. Hardly impressive, is it? Just beating them by the odd goal. Then they went to Finland, had to play Helsinki, HJK. They beat them 2-1 in Sweden, and they drew again away from home, and they beat them again 1-1 goal, 4-3 on aggregate. And then they beat Rangers 4-2, so they actually beat Rangers by a bigger margin than they beat both Riga and Helsinki from Finland. To me, that's just embarrassing. You cannot tell me that Rangers aren't better than these two teams here. Rangers are far superior to these two teams here. And the fact that Malmo struggled to get past them, it really tells you everything. So I think it's shocking how bad this is. I mean, Malmo are decent, but should they be beating Rangers in both legs? Hell no. I mean, if you look at Malmo's results in recent years, now I know you can say, you can't really go back, 2 or 3 years, but I mean, some of these results, I mean, look at that. They lost to 2017-18, they lost to Fadar from Macedonia. They're hardly setting the world alight here. Draws against absolute some diddy teams. So, I mean, Malmo by no means are great, and Rangers should have been beating them. I think Rangers should be beating Malmo. I think 7 out of 10, and that's me being very lenient. To me, it should be like 8 or 9, but they didn't beat them. They got beat, and that's a big problem. So again, it's another bottle job there. But like I said, I mean, I don't know how HJK and Riga can hold Malmo, but Rangers lose to them at Ibrox. To me, that just makes absolutely no sense. But here, man, that's what happened. It is what it is. Right, now we'll look at Celtic. What we're basically doing here is we're just comparing the teams that have beat the Old Firm, and we're looking at how they fared against other teams in the same competition, just to see whether or not they did overperform, or whether or not the Old Firm underperformed, or to see what's happened. So we'll start with Michelin, obviously from this season, beat Celtic 3-2 on aggregate. Let's see how they did there. So obviously that was first round they entered, so we don't have any history from this season because they didn't enter in the first round. But look at the next round, the very next round. They take on PSV Eindhoven, and they lose 4-0 on aggregate. They lose 3-0 and 1-0. So Michelin, like I said, aren't a great team. PSV, I think you'd have to give Rangers a decent chance against PSV. So Michelin losing 4-0 to them just doesn't really fill me with much confidence, does it? No. So I mean, I think you look at this tie, and it's definitely a tie that Celtic should have won, in my opinion. Let me go to the previous year where they lost in the second qualifying round to Ferencvaros. See, when you can't even pronounce the team, I mean, that's when you know they're bad. That's when you know you should be beating them without any problem. Ferencvaros, we're going to call them Ferencvaros. Have I got that right? Who knows? Well, let's see how they did then. Champions League, let's see how they did. So here we go. Let's find the bad boy. So UEFA Cup, European Cup, Winners' Cup, Champions League. So, first qualifying rounds, right, they beat Dune Gardens, which is not bad. Then they beat Celtic. To be fair, then they went on and beat Dynamo Zagreb, so they picked up some decent wins here. They got lucky against Molde. They managed to they won on penalties there, or away goal even, 3-3 on aggregate. And then in the group stage of the, Europa League? Champions League even, they lose 5 games and draw 1 with Dynamo Kiev. So you know what? Ferencvaros actually went and did alright there, so I don't think you can look too much at that. They've actually done a decent job, so I'm not going to give Celtic a pass there, but Celtic still should have beat this team, but they actually went on and did alright after beating Celtic. They got past in all 2 rounds. They made it into the Champions League, and let's be real, they didn't do that bad. I mean, alright, they lost to Barca, what do you expect? Narrow defeat to Juventus, picked up a draw against Dynamo Kiev. I don't think that's too bad. We go back then to the last time Celtic got knocked out of the Champions League, and that was against Cluj. And let's see how then Cluj went on to do. So, Cluj, after beating, so they beat Astana. I mean, look at this. They just sneaked through. Cluj actually lost to Astana. And then they sneaked through 3-2 on aggregate to Tel Aviv. And then, obviously, they beat Celtic 5-4. And then they lose both games to Slavia Prague. So, again here, Cluj, probably a team that Celtic should be beating. I mean, based on how they performed, they haven't performed that well. You look at that, even after that, they haven't really went on to beat anybody of note. They haven't done anything that great. I mean, they even lost to the young boys. This year they lost to some team from Bosnia I've never heard of, so Cluj's record in Europe isn't great, but it was good enough for them to beat Celtic, surprisingly, so don't understand that. I think Celtic should have definitely beat Cluj. I think Celtic should have beat all these teams. Celtic should have beat Midtjylland, Fenerbahce and Cluj. And then the last team to beat Celtic before they actually made the Champions League was AEK Athens back in, 2017 was this one? I believe so. So yeah, they beat Celtic, then they went on and beat some team from Hungary, and then they went on to the Champions League after qualifying, and they lose every game. And look at that. They got smashed every game. I mean, the group it's a tough group, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I think you should be picking up at least a couple of points, a couple of draws, no? I mean, losing twice to Benfica, losing twice to Ajax. I mean, Rangers had Benfica beat twice until they bottled it towards the end. So, again, you can see Cluj here. I mean, AEK Athens, not exactly world beaters, but Celtic lost to them again. So, I mean, that's the last tip. Since the Old Firm qualified to the Champions League, they've lost to Malmo, Midtjylland, Ferencváros, Cluj and AEK Athens. In my opinion, I would fancy Rangers and Celtic to be favourites against all five of those teams. So for neither of the Old Firm to beat any of them, I think it's pretty poor. It is really poor, and we should be doing better, guys, because we're better than these teams. So a little breakdown there, how they've been knocked out in recent years. It is what it is, guys, but hopefully we can sort it out. We need someone from Scotland representing in the Champions League. At the moment, all we seem to have is fucking Andy Robertson, just because he plays for Liverpool. I doubt Kieran Tierney's going to get to represent the Champions League because Arsenal are shite and they'll never qualify, but yeah, I mean, come on. Rangers, Celtic, I don't care. Maybe it'll be someone else. Maybe Aberdeen will win the league this year and Scott Brown will be the man. He'll captain Aberdeen to the final. Who knows? Maybe that's what's going to happen. But anyway, guys, that's it. Till next time, leave your comments and subscribe and all that good shit. Don't leave me any death threats, please. And until next time, peace.